Thank you. Welcome, everyone, and thanks again for joining us for today's webinar, Mentor Collective's Product Spotlight Series, AI plus Human Connection equals the Future of Mentorship. My name is Jasmine, and I'm on the marketing team here at Mentor Collective, and I'm so excited to kick off today's webinar. We will cover how Mentor Collective is scaling mentorship through recent AI-powered product innovations, and we'll share what's ahead on our roadmap. So just a few housekeeping notes as we get started. This webinar is being recorded and we'll send you the recording in a follow-up email by tomorrow. On the screen, you'll see a few tips to help ensure a smooth virtual experience today. Adjusting your video layout to speaker will allow you to see the slide deck and also the presenter faces. We'd also love to know where everyone is joining from, so feel free to share your name and institution in the chat. Throughout the session, you can drop questions in the chat or use the Q&A feature, and we'll also make sure to answer questions at the end. So feel free to ask your questions throughout the chat. Our team will be monitoring, so thank you. And would love to introduce today's speakers, so handing it off.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. And hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Erin Mayhood, the CEO of Mentor Collective, and I'm so glad to have you here with us today. I have spent my career at the intersection of education, technology, and impact, and I've seen how powerful mentorship can be when it's done correctly. At Mentor Collective, we believe that the most effective solutions don't start with features, they start with people, and they start with the real problems that we're all trying to solve. This is the first in a new product spotlight series, and it's a chance for us to open the hood and to share how we're building our platform in direct response to the challenges that you face. Whether you're working to improve student belonging, retention, and career readiness, or if you're supporting talent acquisition, employee growth, and retention, this session is absolutely for you. I am thrilled to be joined by our absolutely brilliant VP of Partner Success and Product, Annemieke. Together, we'll walk through what we're hearing in the field and how we're designing to meet those needs and what's next as we build mentorship infrastructure for the AI era. So thank you again for being here. Let's dive straight in. Here's where we're headed today. We're going to start, as we always do, with what's not working, what's broken, and why the current learner to career journey isn't quite working for learners, institutions, or employers. Then we'll show what's already live in our platform, features that help you deepen relationships, surface real insights, and drive impact today. And then we'll share how we're building for our future together, using AI to enhance, not replace, human connections that matter most. And finally, we'll look ahead to what's next and how your organization can help shape this new infrastructure for mentorship in the AI age. This is the first in a series. I'm excited to be here to kick it off with you and focus on what's real, what's working, and what's next. So let's start with the problem because we know you feel it too. And a few stats for you on the screen here. Despite decades of effort, the path from education to meaningful employment is still deeply fragmented in many ways. Institutions want to prepare learners, employers want to hire and grow them, and learners want to succeed. But too often, they and we are working in isolation with no shared infrastructure, no shared signals, and no shared accountability. The data backs this up. You see the number of Americans in lower quality jobs or underemployed or out of the workforce altogether. Employers are reporting to us and to others that they're seeing more degrees and credentials than ever, but they still can't find the talent with the skills and the readiness that they need. And higher education, your student success staff is reporting they're feeling stretched thin. They're facing growing complexity with fewer resources and less continuity than ever. Everybody's trying. We're all here doing our best, but the systems aren't built to work together yet. And learners are feeling lost. Institutions and employers are feeling overwhelmed at times. And the infrastructure meant to support success just isn't working. So that, of course, leads us to the question, what is missing? And you'll see in higher ed in the workplace, I know this resonates with so many of you because I hear it every day that too many of the support systems are still closed, siloed, or transactional. In education, that might mean an advising platform that doesn't connect with career services. In the employer environment, it might mean a mentoring tool that's only used for onboarding. Closed systems don't link to the broader ecosystem, so support stays isolated. Siloed systems might end up stuck in a single moment, like orientation or training, and not have continuity across the transitions that we all go through as we grow. And transactional tools often offer more shallow and one-off interactions and lack the trust and accountability that's really needed to support all of our growth. So again, I come back to this concept of an infrastructure, a system that builds trust and generates insights for all of us to connect people to mentors, to resources, and to purpose. That's what we've been building here at Mentor Collective. And in just a minute, we'll show you what it looks like in both learner and employee journeys. I always love to show this graphic because this is really how we think of mentorship at Mentor Collective. It is not a bonus feature, but it is the connective tissue that other systems are missing. It builds that trust and perspective and shared accountability that most tools cannot. It meets people where they are, whether they're a student seeking belonging or an employee growing into their role. And it doesn't stop there. It reconnects individuals to the ecosystem around them. It connects people to advising. It connects people to career centers. It connects people to stretch roles, to learning pathways, to upskilling in the workplace. Well done, it becomes the relational infrastructure that ties everything together across your life stages, your milestones, and your support systems. We always think of this as a connected system. And so you're seeing a visual here that we look at frequently on our product team. And this is a system that scales support, strengthens human connection, and generates real insight across the learner to career journey. For students, mentorship builds confidence, it brings relevance to their learning, and provides guidance through things like internships and job searches. For employees, it supports onboarding. It strengthens retention. It fosters inclusion and helps people grow into their new roles. At every stage, you'll see that mentorship delivers two key things: connection between the pair and hopefully multiple pairs and multiple mentors, and insights. So it both helps individuals grow and helps organizations better support that growth. And we've already been building this foundation. We now have over 500,000 learners supported and over 200 partners. And now we're making it even smarter with AI. So, Annemieke, we have to get your voice into this conversation. And let's start though with we have people on the call today that have not yet used our product. So could you do a brief overview of what we already do today to help ground us from our starting point?
Certainly. And so much of that comes from what we have learned and iterated on from those partners that you mentioned. So for those who don't work with us next, I think it's important for you to know that we are not starting from scratch. We're building forward from a platform that is really delivering outcomes at scale, thanks to the trust and partnership from those wonderful institutions and employers that work with us today. The core of our technology is mentorship lifecycle management. This is the operating layer that helps ensure mentorship isn't one-to-one and it can be done at scale. This includes scalable program design, training for mentors, continuous engagement for participants, whether that's the student's transition moment into college or an employee moving into a new role. In the center, we focus on what matters most, the outcomes, the participant experience. The outcomes engine is designed to extract little breadcrumbs about what is making mentorship measurable, tracking signals like self-efficacy or belonging and confidence, and surfacing risk and indicators of what's going right and what's not that you can act on. And finally, across the top, the tech and data infrastructure that not only supports this from underneath, but makes it visible and brings it to your fingertips. This is what enables personalization, automation, and real-time insight. And that is in things like matching of pairs that's identity aligned, nudging that's done in a smart and personalized way, and the automation of everything that goes into this process. And that's also where the participant data exhaust becomes an intelligence layer for you to drive change and outcomes. This is already working, and we get to learn and see the proof points from that from our partners every day. And it's also the springboard for where we're headed next. Really, when we think about mentorship as infrastructure, it can become a very operational conversation about workflows and processes, but really mentorship is a strategic advantage. As you said, Erin, it's the way that relationships bring all these puzzle pieces together. So these are the 4 pillars that we think represent how mentorship can really unlock value for both the success of learners and workers, the development of them at any phase. The first is the human connection. At its core, mentorship is about relationships, about human potential. Our proprietary matching algorithm uses over 80 different variables to go beyond surface level networking. It helps people find people they would not find otherwise, quite frankly. That means stronger, more meaningful connections and real support. The peer insights. Mentorships give people a safe space to share what's really happening, to talk about everything that is going on in their life and not one specific thing. This also gives you deep insights into things like stress, confidence gaps, anxieties, data you simply don't get from surveys or dashboards alone. The robust assessment element of this platform, which is one of my favorites as a complete data geek here, lets you measure what matters, also lets you not have to think too hard about measuring what matters, persistence, belonging, readiness, and tie those back to actual outcomes for your learners or employees, actionable intelligence. And then finally, optimize administrative capacity. I'm really proud of this company's ability to help take people who are already strapped, already under-resourced, and make meaningful change doable for folks who do not have an extensive amount of resources because of how our teams help you do more with less. By mobilizing your human capital, the communities you have of learners and workers, you are able to scale impact without overwhelming your staff. So these really do set the stage for where we're headed next.
Thank you so much, Annemieke. And I always like to start with, to follow up before we go into what's coming next. Let's do a quick little pop quiz. So we've talked about why mentorship matters, what it looks like today. Let's take a moment to check in on some of the data that is shaping how we're thinking about how mentorship shows up in a new world. Quick quiz. This is no pressure. We just absolutely want to spark conversation. Which of these statements is true? Over 70% of college students are also working. Most adult learners are pursuing degrees for the first time. 54% of adult learners are returning to education to reskill or pivot. Or most students follow a traditional path, school to job to career. And you can select more than one. All right. Lots of thought going into this one. Always hard when you get to select more than one. How are we doing, Jasmine?
So it looks like everyone's mostly selecting 54% of adult learners are returning to education to reskill or pivot. And then runner-up is over 70% of college students are also working.
Yes, 1 and 3 are the correct answers here. And today's learners are already navigating the work world, and many workers are navigating education while they do that. And our systems traditionally were not always built for that flow between these two worlds together, but mentorship absolutely can be. And Annemieke, I know you have a lot a lot of thoughts about this, and so would love for you to just take a couple moments as you're sharing what we've recently released, what we're seeing with learning and working.
Yeah. And the first part of this is that learners and workers, this is not a dichotomy. It's a false dichotomy. We maybe have traditionally thought of learning as one specific phase and working as the next phase, but the truth in these statistics and in our own experience is that these are blended identities. And so as we develop and design at Mentor Collective, we consider a single person who is consistently learning and applying that to work, or applying the work to their learning goals and so forth. So we have to build the infrastructure that supports people across that entire fluid journey. And we know the stakes for this is really high. We know that college students are underemployed. We know that workers are still, employers are still trying to find the best talent. And this gets right to the heart of what we hear from learners. They feel a deep sense of anxiety about their future. They tell us, I know I need to be career ready, but I don't know what that looks like. And by us, I mean you, our partners. Their testimonials, their survey responses tell us these things. They say, I know I need a network, but I'm too intimidated. And this is where mentorship becomes the critical lever for change. So our own research also shows this. We have a white paper coming out shortly that shows that after engaging in mentorship, the percentage of learners reporting high confidence in their professional skills more than doubles from 19 to 42%. That confidence translates directly into action. We know that mentorship is also a bridge to the resources people need. We see a 45% increase in learners using career counseling and workshopping after meeting with a mentor. They're taking passive anxiety and turning it into proactive steps. And so this is precisely why we have institutions and employer partners striving with us for this, closing the gap between academic achievement and workplace readiness, starting careers with momentum. This also leads us to our most recent product release, which I'm really excited about, which is a wonderful partnership with Road Trip Nation and the introduction of new career guidance materials into our product. We've already expanded our platform with these. We partner with Road Trip Nation to take thousands of real world career stories and integrate those directly into the platform. Road Trip Nation's offerings help learners connect interest into tangible career paths, stories from hundreds and hundreds of people in different careers, and bridges the gap between exploring a career and pursuing a career. And we've also integrated world-leading resources from Grow with Google. This is free courses and certificates to build job-ready skills like in AI, in high-growth fields, and also a fantastic tool called Interview Warm-Up to help users practice and gain confidence for the next interview. We're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but it's important to give learners and workers access to self-service on-demand tools and to people where they can reflect on and apply those things to their goals and plans.
Yes, I love this, and so relevant in today's workplace as well, as I think every organization we're talking to right now is talking about reskilling, upskilling, AI transformation. This learning cycle is as intense as ever, isn't it, Annemieke? And so having access and supportive accountability to engage with resources so important right now. So let's take a slight shift here because I know we have a lot of employers on here and a lot of education leaders wanting to ensure that student populations are prepared for employment. So, according to an analysis of over 80 million job postings, what do employers most commonly seek? And in this, we're asking for one choice: technical skills like coding or data analysis, degrees from top institutions, durable skills like communication, collaboration, and reliability, or industry certifications. We'll just give you a moment to make your choice. And I know people who have heard me, I'm sure a few people on this webinar who have heard me speak about this recently know the choice and said she is quite intense on this particular topic. But how are we doing, Jasmine?
Clear winner is number 3. Everyone's
Yes.
that one.
That makes me so happy because I think, the message is getting out there that durable skills are the most frequently requested when you look at all of these job ads. And it's so critical when we think about the hard skills that we're developing, when we think about these online courses, when we think about encouraging online only interactions, we're missing out on the opportunity to build those durable skills, which we so desperately need. Now, Annemieke, I'm going to turn this back to you in a second, but I have to say out loud, I think what we all know, and I know that many of our institutions have shared data with us on how this is true on their campus or in the workplace. Most people at this point are starting with technology to explore careers, to ask questions, seek help, or navigate a challenge. I've even heard some students in our touch points and interviews with them say, I do that because I want to get my uncomfortable questions out of the way before I speak to a human. At the same time, we know that the most meaningful growth happens when that digital entry point leads to a real human relationship. And this is the space that Mentor Collective has always lived, one that not just builds skills, but also belonging and supportive accountability. So, Annemieke, I'd love for you to share more about how we're designing our technology to meet learners where they are through tech, but still guiding them toward deeper relationship-driven outcomes that mentorship uniquely delivers.
And that is the core challenge. And I think it gets to the heart of our philosophy on technology here is that it's not just tech for tech's sake, it's about guiding folks to that meaningful connection. So I want to talk a little bit about how we plan to use AI, how we are using AI here at Mentor Collective. And I know that that can be a loaded term and that for some folks, it can bring up concerns about replacing human judgment or relationships. So to be very clear, our philosophy is the opposite. At Mentor Collective, we are leveraging AI to scale that deeply human mentorship and not to replace connection, but to enhance it. So thinking about that learner or worker who might turn to technology first, they want that safe space. We want to provide that safe space for them. We want to give them the opportunity to click on a video in the Road Trip Nation catalog and learn more about a career that intimidates them. Maybe they grew up and my father was an iron worker. I have no idea what private equity is. I'm not sure how to talk about that as a field. Maybe I want to explore that in an anonymous space first and prepare for my first interview with someone who works in private equity and know what those acronyms might mean. It's a tool for the mentee to build confidence, to organize their thoughts, and prepare for that more meaningful conversation. And it lowers the barrier for entry, especially in groups of learners and workers who are less likely to do that help seeking. So this is critical because we know that while we can teach technical skills, the durable skills that are needed, like critical thinking, communication, collaboration, these come through human interaction. These are very hard to develop without other people for feedback and for testing and for practice. So we want to create the conditions for those skills to develop through those human relationships and moving forward. So let me just paint a picture here a little bit for you of what that could look like. So building an AI-powered mentorship operating system that gets smarter with every interaction. So what does that actually look like? Most mentorships platforms assume users know how to get started and what questions to ask. We know that's the hardest part for learners, interns, early career employees. So removing friction from the mentorship journey by saying, let me help you find a connection that you would never have access to otherwise, because I know not just who you are, but what you care about. Imagine AI is helping someone engage with purpose, to brainstorm discussion questions for their next meeting. As I mentioned, I've no idea how to talk to someone in private equity. Help me have a good first conversation. Help it achieve goals. What should I be focusing on? I just had a great conversation with Erin. She's a CEO, and I was completely, flabbergasted the whole time. What did we talk about? What can I take out of this? And then finally, for our partners, imagine being able to launch a mentorship program for any population quickly and easily without a lot of overhead. This is the future we're building. And I want to share a little bit more even than that to talk a bit about a prototype that our team is developing now and testing with some of our current partner users. So what we're able to do here in the why behind this approach is right now we do a lot to drive engagement. We send smart nudges. You host events as a partner because we know that engagement between mentees, when it's recurrent, when it's meaningful, this drives the best outcomes. But we think we can go further here. We think we can go beyond reminders and into true dynamic personalization. This is where our vision can come to life on the most important part of the mentorship, which is the conversation that takes place between two people. We want to deliver immediate personal value to the participant to help them get the most out of every single connection. For our current partners, you're used to asking our participants, did you talk to someone? Can you log a conversation? Can you pick a topic from a drop-down menu? Not a lot of value back to the participant in that experience, but what if we could give them the tools to learn from their own conversations and drive action while also giving you insight into what is happening? So before I show you what this looks like, I want to clarify that what you're about to see is an exclusive sneak peek at a conceptual prototype that our team is working on, not a final polished product. Think of this as a behind the scenes look at some of our customers are also helping us with in user testing about where we're headed. All right.
Thank you, Annemieke.
So we call this our engagement agent, and we're focusing a lot on this conversations piece. So I just finished a conversation with my mentor, and I'm able to record a reflection. So let's say an example of this here. I just met with Erin. She has a fantastic career as a CEO of an ed tech company, and I'm so inspired by what she's doing. But I learned that she has a early career music performance and yet landed as the ed tech company CEO. So I've realized that the beginning of my career might not be the end of my career. And I'm thinking a lot more about what I want to learn in the early stages of my career. So maybe this is something I say as I leave my fantastic conversation with Erin, and prepare for the next one. So here we have some of my next steps that are based on the reflections of the recorded conversations or reflections that I've had. I'm jumping into some resources that help me here. And then I'm also able to see how I've talked with other mentors, maybe my multiple mentors who are helping me here. I talk with Sarah about product management. Here are some of the topics we discussed. Here are the action items that have come out of that conversation. All of this being generated dynamically for me through AI, and all of this creating intelligence that my institution or my organization can learn from. So this is just a little sneak peek at how we are transforming that entire experience.
Yes, thank you for sharing this, Annemieke. And I love that, one of the benefits of Mentor Collective's beginnings is that we have worked so hands-on and know the cadences of communications, the type of communications that really resonate, and so have wonderful building blocks to make sure that this is relevant at the right time for everybody. And yes, it is true. I have a music degree. We do love a creativity in the product design world and in business, don't we? Beginnings are so valuable. All right, I am going to reshare my screen, and we are taking a left turn, but a little earlier, we talked about the true power of mentorship is when you combine the connection between participants and the insights that the organization gets. So here you are seeing a peek at what we deliver today. So one thing that we've seen across both higher education and employer settings is that strong mentorship relationships are very, very powerful on their own, but the real transformation happens when you, that sponsoring organization, acts on what is surfaced through those relationships. And I can tell you from my seat as well, helps you prioritize where your attention needs to be at specific times. Whether it's a student expressing a need for a more in-depth career support, or an early career employee signaling disengagement, or another issue, mentorship creates that visibility for your organization. And the question becomes then, what do we do with that? So, Annemieke, you are such a data expert here. Can you share more about how we're helping our partners, whether campuses or companies, actually close that loop and turn mentorship into measurable organization level impact?
Yeah. Tracking these outcomes at scale is elusive. It's really challenging to have meaningful data about enough of your population to have confidence in the decisions that you're making. And Mentor Collective has made great strides in doing this with our research-focused ways of doing assessment, the structured way that we collect data, and the way that we present it to our partners. There's more we can do, and we're going to talk a little bit about what else that is. But we know that when we put data at the fingertips of our partners, that we can see that amplification of the outcomes that we see things driven. So for a real world example, a partner's using our career readiness assessment to see what the baseline is for their students. When they see results in their dashboard, they can filter by college and see students in one college having lower career readiness than another. This means that so in this example, arts and sciences students are saying they lack a role model that can explore or explain career paths. This is what we mean by closing the loop. Going from this general feeling of career readiness is lower than we want it to be to actionable, measurable gaps where we can say now we can do a targeted initiative like recruiting alumni in certain careers to mentor arts and sciences students and to speak on panels about their career journeys. This turns it from a data point into a successful intervention. And that is where that amplification comes from. There are a lot more connections that we can make here. This is basically the layering of AI on top of reporting and analytics. And I'm particularly excited about this because this is about simplicity and ease and a natural way of exploring and learning from data, opening up the opportunity to take all of the open-ended and free-form information that we have in conversation logs and testimonials to reveal even deeper insights. So imagine, and I mean this for real, please stop and imagine, what question would you ask in plain English, in simple terms, to get an immediate answer? What do you want to know? In our prototype that I just shared, you can see, oh, here's the goals or the reasons that people seek mentorship, or 65% of conversations are about skill building. Like, what do you wish you could ask? If someone could sit and study and surface everything up and get an immediate answer to. This is where our new AI capabilities will come in. I'd love for you to chat these in, also because your chat will be used in our product design and discovery process. So if you want it to do something special, this is your chance to make it into the research process and get a vote in this. And this is what we mean by closing the loop, getting that specific insight, and that's mentorship as strategic infrastructure.
Yes, as people are thinking, um, I hear things like, I wish that data was more easily consumable by multiple members on my team. Not everybody is accustomed to working with dashboards or and spreadsheet downloads and etc. And so I think that's this is an equalizer in terms of giving people more access. I always hear questions related, what are the most common goals or concerns my mentees are bringing up? I hear questions like this, and we want to have a conversation with our data to understand more about that. So yes, confidence levels in different areas. I love this. How confident are my students with their major choice is something that I see coming through. We've all seen data that if students are thinking about switching majors too close to the second semester of their second year of a four-year degree, they have a higher likelihood of dropping out. These are such important things to be able to ask our data sets.
One of the things that I've been asked by partners in the past is who are the mentors that are making the biggest change and influence, right? Who are the future leaders that come out of this? Whether I'm head of HR at a company and I want to, who are the people mentoring that should be managing, that should be coaching, that should be leading? Who are the mentors that are students that I should be tapping for leadership roles and support? How can I find not just the students at risk or the learners at risk, but those who are thriving and leading and I can tap into for growth?
Yes, I love this. Plans for your degree. I also see somebody putting in a response, thinking through the performance of your mentorship program and how many people are responding to the different questions and assessments you put out last year versus this year. Many things you can be asking, just encouraging everybody to keep putting in those ideas. Annemieke is going to take them and live with them with our amazing product and engineering team and imagine our future together.
Yeah, and to wrap us up here, Erin is going to share some. These are real testimonials from a number of our customers. Each of our participants has a chance to share a testimonial, and they get to decide whether that testimonial is private or public. And in doing so, they provide their institution and us with an opportunity to recruit and enroll more folks in mentorship. And what I want to share about these, this is one of my favorite things to do, is to go through these testimonials. We have one from an intern in tech. This is a person was highly educated in a highly set off internship and still facing uncertainty. And the mentor is the thing that is changing that. In our next testimonial here, you have a currently enrolled college student, and their mentor is actually sitting down and doing LinkedIn review and helping them. And at the end, it's scary, less scary when I have someone in my corner to encourage me. Here's another example, mid-level professional, early career professional, thinking about leadership, not career entrance, but really next level in the career, and getting some great feedback from their mentor. And finally, another example of a learner about building a network, navigating a career path. And I love this final statement. I wouldn't have known where to start without her. So the momentum from this. And with all of this, I want to say that this is really the opportunity that we have here, and the focus is off of transforming more of these testimonials, continued growth and evolution of these human relationships that is transforming the outcomes for the learners and workers we serve. So thank you so much for joining us, and to our partners for letting us join you in your journey to achieve these goals, and to learn from your experiences. We are extremely excited about bringing new features and new technology to your fingertips and helping you achieve even greater success.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And any questions that we did not get to today, we will have direct follow-up with you. So just thank you for the feedback. Thank you for the thoughts. And we are absolutely thrilled to be on this journey alongside you.